Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have Kayla here be our patient, and we're gonna go over our static palpation, okay? So our static palpation and finding our landmarks are very, very important for us to locate where we are in the spine. As I said before, X-ray analysis is the gold standard for us to find what the landmarks are, what they're near, and what exact segment we are on. So how we can do that is when we are scoping and palpating, and we use our whole system, not just one. We use our whole system. We're able to find exactly which nerve root and which disc is subluxated. So what we do is after we find that, we place a BB, like a little BB, and we tape it. And then when we take the X-ray, we see exactly which disc level and which space is the subluxated vertebra in question. Okay? But for now, we're gonna teach us some ways. So grab your spouse, grab your friends, grab your family, grab someone, call someone up, text them, tell them we need to practice chiropractic, okay? Because this never can be over practiced. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look for the two dimples that are in Kayla's spine right now, okay? So when we're searching here, you can see right here, that spot right there, and that spot right there are the two dimples on Kayla's back. Those two dimples are what are called the posterior superior iliac spine, or known as the PSIS. Is this what we normally reference when we're talking in this region? The PSIS is right here. And again, the dimples right there in her lower back. So when we're finding this, these dimples, or this PSIS, is going to be lateral compared to the S1, S2 disc, which would be medial from the SI joint, okay? The SI joint is just a little bit internal, and what articulates the sacrum, S, and the ilium, I. So that joint is this articulation right here. It's actually pretty incredible. Dr. Gonstead was one of the first human beings to ever go against the normal community and the research community that said the sacrum and the ilium are one bone and they do not move. There's no movement, they're solid. Dr. Gonstead, through all of his really in-depth research and specific research, he found that the iliums can not only move up and down to the sacrum, but internal and external. That's why when we go through our listings, you're gonna see this listing could be a PI, a PIEX, PIIN, and so many others, okay? So that is why we need to be specific to our listing and specific with our adjustments. Because if someone has a PIIN and we just push PI, that IN's never gonna be corrected and actually makes the IN a little bit worse. So we need to be very particular for what we're doing, and that's why specificity is paramount. That's what makes the difference between 100% health and 90 or 80 or 70 or 50, okay? This is why we're specific. So what we're gonna do is find these dimples on Kayla's back, and that's what right here, and we're gonna go medial from there. When we go medial from there, as you can see, like I said before, it's gonna be the S2 tubercle. From the S2 tubercle, we're going to slide up, and that little divot you'll feel is that S1 tubercle and going right near that sacral base, okay? So after we're on S1, you're gonna take your chiropractic index finger off of the S2 tubercle and place it right on the S1 tubercle. Now our index finger is searching for L5. To do that, you're gonna slide up, and it's gonna be the first bone you feel. It is very tiny on a lot of people, and if we had an X-ray, we can very easily see that. But when we're palpating, we're gonna slide up, and we're gonna find right where that L5 vertebra is. To ensure we're still on L5 and not on the sacrum, we're going to extend the patient back, and that L5 will move anterior, okay? So you're gonna go up to L5, and we're gonna palpate L4 by sliding up, L3, take my middle finger off, go on L3 up to L2, and continue all the way to L1. Our goal for today, for everyone, mainly the fundamental group, but this is never too fundamental for anyone to ever practice, is to locate and palpate these landmarks. The PSIS, the sacral tubercles, and all 5 of the lumbar vertebrae. Again, it's very important to take x-rays because we don't know if a patient has 6 lumbars, 5 lumbars, or 4 lumbars. We don't know if that patient has a spatulated vertebra with their transverse processes. We don't know if they have a spondy here. So when all of these things that can happen in this region, they are extremely, extremely paramount in how we go about patient care and how our adjustment changes. So that's why x-rays prevent you from being indifferent, and that's why our specificity to what bone we're on truly matters, okay? So now let's do this on our patient. So this is the time you grab your friend, spouse, siblings, anyone, any human being, go grab them and let's practice chiropractic and finding our landmarks, okay everyone? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put my hand on Kayla's shoulder. Of course, if this was a patient I've never met before, I'm going to inform them everything I do before I do them. So I would say, hey Kayla, I'm gonna go investigate your low back to see what's causing your problems. Is it okay if I continue and touch your low back and your shoulder?
Yes.
And she would let me know that's okay. You have to explain what you do before you do it, and that gives you a lot of trust for your patients to have in you, okay? So now that I got that trust, I'm gonna put my hand on her shoulder and I'm going to search for those dimples. Now that I found those dimples, I know I'm right on that PSIS. If you're having some trouble, you can laterally bend and the dimples should be moving. Even extend and the dimples will move, okay? So now I know I'm definitely on that right PSIS. When I'm on that right PSIS, I'm going to go medial, and that will be that S2 tubercle, okay? On that S2 tubercle, I'm going to slide up with my index finger and feel that divot. That's where S1 is. To ensure I'm on S1 and not L5, I'm gonna bring her into extension. The sacrum isn't moving extremely forward like the L5 would. So now I know I'm still in the sacrum. I bring my chiropractic index finger right where my index finger is, and I slide up to find the L5 lumbar. Again, I'm extending and I'm making sure I am on what bone I think I'm on. If I feel something moving under my index finger, that means I'm probably too high. Again, this is how minimal our motion is at this segment. And that's the bottom segment. That's all you need to move her. Don't need to bring her all the way back and extend her. That's just gonna overdo it for her. Okay, you wanna be specific, you wanna be light, and you want the patient to trust you. Your palpation is what is the preliminary setup for your adjustment. If you're rough with your palpation and you're rough with touching your patient, that's exactly how they think their adjustment will be. And normally if you're rough with this, you're gonna be rough with that. So this is why we wanna be extremely light, specific, and intentional with what we're trying to do on every motion. So now that I find L5, I'm going to put my chiropractic index finger here and then slide up. Now I'm on L4. Again, if you can see my fingers right now, they still have red in them, my fingertips. This is because I'm not pressing so hard it turns white. I'm pressing light enough that I still see red. So that's a little test for everyone to use to say, am I pressing too hard? Well, if you see a lot of white in your fingertips, then you sure are pressing too hard. Okay? So now we have L5 and L4, just confirming by that slight extension. After that, I'm gonna bring my chiropractic index finger up and my index finger to L3. I continue this up, L2, and lastly, L1. Now, what I can do to keep practicing, once I'm on L1, count back down. See if you actually counted all 5 correctly. And then when you think you're on L5, do the extension. If it's not sliding anterior like it should, and you're actually on the sacrum or you're one too high, then you know that you miscounted. So this is a great opportunity for everyone to practice both SI joints, all of the sacral tubercles and all of the lumbar vertebrae. Okay, again, sacrum goes down to S5. So if you're gonna start here, you're on S2, it's very small and very hard to feel. S3, S4, and S5, okay? This is better for the more advanced people to do to make sure your palpation is good. If your palpation is good, you should be able to get down to S5, okay? So let's practice that. We're gonna palpate the sacrum, the ilium, and then the lumbars, all right? And that was what we wanted to go over today. So we wanted to thank everyone for watching. I hope you guys learned something and are able to take this and practice it. And we look extremely forward to getting back on campus soon, you guys.
See you next week.
Thank you, guys.